Hey everyone, just me here today. I wanted to take you through the roadmap that I built. I know the community have been asking for this, and apologies that this wasn't done much earlier. A lot's been happening, but I've taken some time working with the tech team and just putting together a new, better looking roadmap that doesn't have all my scribbles and notes and things to try and capture what the guys are telling me when we're planning out what needs to get done next. And you would have been seeing the dev updates. We're keeping you updated to what's going on. But I know when you read them, it can seem like, hey, wasn't this being worked on before already? Wasn't this meant to be done? And there's some back and forth when you get to from the SDK components that our partners are going to consume. They start giving us feedback, which means tweaking, and then we find ourselves spending more time on certain things. So I built this roadmap, and I'm going to quickly take you through it. I'm going to try and keep this video in 10 minutes so that people actually tune in and rather than listen to me waffle on. So here is the roadmap that has been built. It's just a simple Notion page, nothing fancy. It's already live, and I will keep adding to it and making sure as things are getting done, I'm updating this board as a source of truth so you can follow along. It'll be weeks, every week I'll update it rather than month or anything like that. So what I've tried to do is kind of capture bigger pieces of work as high level as I could. In specific cards, I've gone a little more granular, especially if there's many chains to action, so you can go in to see what's been completed, especially in the in-progress stuff. And you can over here pick by status, quarter. There's a bit of a timeline, but just with the timeline view, I have literally put timelines per quarter for you to get a general idea of what we're trying to get done in what quarter, and usually it'll be the 3 month span. Some of the tasks may actually be very close to finishing and not needing, this third quarter till the end of it to get done. So, however, it's just a generalization while I just put this roadmap together. And yeah, anyway, they're different views. So let's just go down to quarter by quarter. As you know, and I've stated in many different podcasts, we have finished off the core build, which is all the new relays connected to all the existing chains. And you can see here, I've ticked off all the chains in there. New asset managers, we've deployed the money market, and that was all done in quarter one. And then we've been testing and things like that. In quarter two, which just wrapped up, and now we've started quarter three, just thinking of the full year broken down into 3 month periods. What's been done in quarter two, like we forked the Xcall scan site to a newer version that is updated to the new infrastructure, though it still has the icon Xcall branding, which we will fix and get that updated. But overall, the site's built, and we can track everything going on. These are things that have been completed in quarter two. We finished off the V4 AMM, so that's also live on mainnet, and you can see I've tagged. I've got this section called released, and what we need to get done for day one launch, or whatever is scheduled for day one launch. Because at this point in our build, a few of our streams are much further ahead. For example, smart contract stream, majority of smart contracts are done, so they're already building new chain integrations. Whereas the solver, for example, we want to get a very stable release in production, which means completely locked down code for exactly what's being built. So some new features that are ready for the solver are not ready for that production relay, for the production solver, because we want that. That's not done yet, and we want to lock that down before we ship any new updates. And I'll talk through it in a sec. So the V4 AMM is done. The pending piece for here is the SDK components haven't been built, but we will get that addressed soon. Then integrate the solver to the current state chain. So I know we've been building this solver for a while, but just for context, so people know, we did a flash build of the original solver for balance in 6 weeks. Got it done in 7. This was end of last year, early this year. We saw it worked, and then obviously through some of these sessions you've seen, we re-architected everything, which meant the solver actually had to be built from ground up. So the solver itself had to get built, and I'm sure there's a card down here for the solver. So we built the core solver, very different to the original build. And then we integrated all the chains that we currently have. Now, the two chains that aren't integrated, you'll notice, is Archway and Harbor, because they're not they won't be integrated into the new solution. So the chains are done, so that piece is done here. The LST, so obviously there's going to be an LST component to the new SODA token. That piece is being built and is done. Again, though, you'll probably notice this is a release 2. This is not needed for day 1 release. And I'll come back and circle to the day 1 release. So, but this component's done. BNUSD for SODAX, believe it or not, this was done a bit later to use the money market infrastructure and implement the new version of BNUSD. So that's been done now. The router contracts, these are specific to... so with the new solver infrastructure, one of the downsides, I would say, but it's not really, but the way the implementation works with the money market and where the solver borrows off the money market, it's a very unique way of doing it. But what happened with that was the solver speed, the speed of a swap slowed down. So I think in the old world, you could get it in 5 to 8 seconds. At the moment now, it was tracking around 30 seconds, which already it's down to 15. But the other solution was we build these router contracts that would help basically where if the solver had to do multiple transactions on each chain, having this router contract would make it so it's one transaction and would speed the entire process up. So that piece has been built, deployed. However, the solver isn't using it just yet. And day 1, the solver won't use that. That's why I've got it noted as release 2. So the piece is done. Then once day 1 is stable, we'll do all the testing with the router integration into the solver, and then it will form a future release of the solver. The Intense V2, so this was done including the filler contracts. So now they're filler contracts and on all the spoke chains. And this just means that in an event the spoke chain has a certain asset, the filler contract will help speed up delivery of that asset rather than messages going back and forth constantly to the hub chain. The SODAX Solver SDK. So this one is what we needed to finish to ensure that our partners can use it. So with the SDKs, view it as 3 pieces. There's the core SDK, and that includes the solver, how to interact with the solver for all the chains, the money market features. So this, at a high level, that's how I view it as well. Like that's the core SDK. Then you got the wallets SDK, which is all the wallet integrations into the SDK. And then finally, the third SDK is the dApp kit, which is the actual logic of how, like Balance would use, they build certain logic to ensure that once you're signing a specific transaction, it's interacting with the contracts in a certain way. So we built all these as packaged them as SDKs so that partners don't have to spend time building these components. That said, as we've delivered these pieces to partners, we're getting ongoing feedback and refining things based on that, which is Balanced and HANA at the moment. But just so you see over here, like this was done towards the very end of Q2 as well. So that's the 2 SDK pieces, but you'll notice the wallet piece and the dApp kit, which I'm sure is down here somewhere. The wallet SDK isn't finished, and what's pending here is basically 2 chains, Solana and Sonic, and Solana should be getting worked on. This actually should be done any day now, and the dApp kit component will be worked on soon. So that's how the SDK piece. Hopefully, I'm not ranting too much. The website, yes, we have a banner. The main website is ready. Actually, I just saw a comment before. Launch is imminent. Okay, and it's just the main page, and then the website will slowly add a few more pages, partners, etc. What we need to build out, but the main guts of the page and the wallet registration process and things are all done and ready to ship. So that should be any day now. Then scrolling down in Q3, which is the quarter we're in. I know, ironic, these are Q2, but just so you know, yes, they are a little bit behind. So Q3, integrate Solver with the current set of chains. So this is it's done, and this is what's being tested at the moment. So far, as I said, yes, we've seen challenges, but overall, without some of the refinements that help speed up the solver, we've already seen the speed improve dramatically. So that's great, and that's just swap speeds, right? Quotes are still great, which is good. The spoke chain rate limiter contracts, I talked about this in the dev update. It's essentially, Balance has this as well. If suddenly there was a large amount of assets leaving the asset manager, like in a certain span of time, the contracts are locked, essentially, in case that's a sign of abnormal activity, etc. So we built these things because as many audits as you do, whatever you do, like, hacks happen. So all we're trying to do is beef up different types of security methods to, in an event something happens, to minimize the damage, and that's what the rate limiter contracts are. And over here, you can see we've already finished the version 2 of CCTP into the solver, which is, if you didn't know, USDC, the USDC solution Circle have built, where you can move USDC between all the chains they're integrated to. V2 only supports 4 chains at the moment. We've integrated it. However, again, this piece is something that will come in the next release of the solver. So, but the work is done. It's more, the rush is now, the focus is on just getting that production release of the solver up so that we can then migrate the liquidity, which I'll talk to in a moment. Then going through the SODAX website. Now we're going to kick off the build for the front end for the SODAX money market. The SODAX wallet SDK is those 2 pieces still being worked on. Backend infrastructure. So obviously we are building quite a lot of the backend now to support the new chain infrastructure and all the data points we need. So that's going to just be an ongoing piece. The SODA token generation event. So this is an important one I wanted to quickly spend some time on. You've noticed the vote is up. I've seen a lot of people get very excited that, it's imminent, migration's imminent. We are close, but when this vote passes, it doesn't mean you can migrate to SODA just yet. This is to set everything up, as you would have seen in the notes. We need to get the governance council trustees in place, the multi-sigs, get everything set up, get the tokens minted, verify it with exchanges. In the interim as well, while all this is happening, you can see down here we're already building a SDK for the migration, which is basically a one-to-one swap for ICX to SODA. Now, this is almost done, and then partners like Hana and Balanced will try to integrate it into their front end, or however they choose, and then we'll build that. So that's the point you need to wait for before it's going to be as easy as a click of a button for you to migrate. But again, don't be disappointed. I know people are excited, but these are all the things we need to get done so that, for example, that part of this process is setting up, the multi-sigs and things that I talked about. And when that's done and partners have integrated, Hana and Balanced have integrated their swaps to the new infrastructure, the next piece will be to migrate the portion of the NOL, because while everything is ready, we still need partners to update their front ends. And they have literally just gotten a stable version from us like a week ago, where they're able to start, updating the front ends, which should be, again, far quicker because we've built quite a lot of that components into the SDK to make their life easier. But with their feedback of looking through it, there's improvements being made every day to it. So when they are done, that's where we will then migrate the NOL to the token generation event that you're voting on at the moment, because then the multi-sigs and everything will be set up and we can do the next vote to do a portion of that migration, which then means we can release front ends from partners so you can see the new infrastructure at work. And then we can commence the actual front end for migration for the ICX to SODA and Balance to SODA. So I'm hoping this gives context. I know I'm talking a lot here. The hub rate limiter contracts are the same thing as before for the spoke. They're just on the hub, so it's like a double measure security. integrate the router contracts. So this is what I talked about earlier. We've built router contracts, but they haven't been integrated into the solver. They are being done at the moment, but as we're thinking of releases, even when it's done, it'll be just kind of in the backlog. When the production release, the main release of the solver is done, then it'll be planned in future iterations to get out there. The solver optimization. Now, I'll let you read this. I've put a decent amount of high-level detail here. This is something that got asked even on Twitter, etc. As we start to scale and stuff, how will the solver scale? More pairs, more chains. How will it cope? This is kind of the work that has been happening, even though we're still not the V1 release, which is in the final stages of testing. We're still ahead in terms of, okay, these are the future issues we're going to see, and we're already building solutions or working through solutions for them at the moment. And then this was the SODA DApp kit. So this is the logic that I was talking about for each chain. So this one, Solana and Stellar, are still pending. And again, within the next 2 weeks, I anticipate these two to be completed. But that said, partners aren't blocked because they can still integrate all the EVM chains and some of the other stacks like Injective and Sui. Those have been shipped. Now, finally, yes, we've been so focused on migration and the infra to everything we support. Few of our streams are a little further ahead, which is a given because smart contract work starts first. The front end stuff doesn't kick in until quite a lot of the other components are done. We have integrated HyperEVM, so this is what's been done, but there's still additional work to be done in the SDK component and the solver and things. So when we have resources there, that's when we'll tidy this up. But I see that getting done and added to the SDK functionality by the end of this quarter. And Neon Stacks, I know you've been hearing about this for ages. We've been working on Neon Stacks for ages. Every time we finished Neon and Stacks, we then migrated to the migration, which we built everything existing. And through those builds, things evolve. So we've had to go back to the drawing board to rebuild the Near and Stacks components for the asset managers, the relays, everything. So this is kind of why there's been a lot of rework. And that's just the way it is. As we keep working and improving and iterating, there's always these pieces that got put on hold that when you come back to need a bit more work. But these are in full flight, and the goal is kind of to have these suite of chains available through the SDKs for our partners to integrate when they're ready. So end of this Q3. And Q4, very little is there, but I've just put basically all the front end bills kind of there. And at this point, we've already starting the money market. And to be clear here, when I say we're starting, designs are done, right? So the designs have been built. It's more now taking those designs and actually building them out. And that's the component that is just about to start, because before we did that, we needed to make sure all the SDKs and everything is completely ready and partners are using them and not having any issues with them. So yeah, I think that's there. I'll kind of flood this with a bit more information and things. The other part I haven't mentioned here is the balanced migration. There's components there, which I'll update a card and slap it in. There's work being done at the moment. And the actual wind down of the Icon blockchain. As you can see, a lot of other stuff has to get done before I even look at that. So I will look to update this when that work will commence in Q4, and then the following year, how long that work will take. So I think that's a great overview. Do say so myself. I think that's a nice overview of everything happening. I spoke a lot. I went for close to 20 minutes. I think, again, like keeping in mind the migration process, I do want everyone, I don't want to spread false timelines and things like that. We're in the early stages of it. It's not years away. Things are happening a lot quicker. We're there. Things are on mainnet. The migration process will kick off post partners updating those components that I explained earlier. And I think that's about it. So right now, the biggest focus at the moment is the SDKs are out and making sure our partners can integrate the new stack, which is in progress. But again, context, it did take a little bit longer. So partners have literally just gotten final copies of things that the SDKs updates, I believe, early this week, end of last week, since they've started integrating it. So beware of that. In terms of how long will balance take to update and things like that, those are questions definitely to ask the feel free to ask the Parrot 9 team in the balance Discord, because while I'm working closely with them, I think it's important for them to give feedback on how they're tracking with that. I just wanted to be very clear that, yeah, they've just gotten it. So they have literally just started their process as well. So not from the design standpoint, they've been designing things, but it's actually, let's now switch over swaps from the back to use all the new infrastructure, which is what they've just gotten exposure to. Okay, rant over. I hope this helps. If it doesn't, tell feedback. I've created this video actually just for our community in Discord, and it's not about posting it on Twitter and getting everyone to see. I just wanted our community to be involved and understand where we're at with things, and transparency. And I'm sorry it's taken so long to get this information in your hands. So chat soon. Bye.